the Shiznit is exclusively sponsored this month by spunklube.com. Spunk Lube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. Spunk Lube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. The newest addition to the Spunk Lube family is Spunk Lube Pink. The pink formula is colorful and fun to use. It's a special hybrid formula that's non-sticky and non-staining. All of their products are shipped in discreet packaging from D Enterprises. Please go to spunklube.com and order a unique, fun-to-use personal lubricant.
Have you listened to episode 115? Have you seen our meme about Randy Orton wondering who peed in his shower? That's right, 115, my buddies. Picture perfect, and you'll understand the meme. Here's a clip. And also, you can download that episode and all the archives at www.stspod.club.
They started doing it on TNA, so we had to drop the America's Most Wanted, and then me, Stan, and John Michael, before John Michael and CJ started tagging, were the primetime players. So we kind of did a Freebirds thing there, and, you know, it was me and Stan tagging most of the time, and then John Michael would be thrown in there with us if we ever did a 3-man thing.
Right. We're going to mention John Michael a lot, but he's a big part of Picture Perfect, and I reached out to him a couple of times, and the motherfucker wouldn't answer me back. Did I say that out loud? He was kayfabing me, is what he was. So here we go. So, David, you and John Michael, I'm sorry. God dang. CJ.
You call me David because dude, you're talking about knowing somebody for a long time. You were one of my substitute teachers in high school. That's when I met you. That's how far back we go.
It is true. It's true. Just crazy. Me and you. It's funny because me and CJ were substitute teacher. Like I said, we worked at a factory forever. We worked in pizza together first, and then it went from there to a factory. And thank God we left that factory. But yeah, friends forever. We're like brothers. I mean, he's always like my little brother, and he was always bigger than me. But you know, how did you and John Michael end up together? I mean, starting with Picture Perfect.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
It's time again for the Super Summer Sizzler Shiznit giveaway. All you have to do to win is, retweet. That's right. 3 winners from July the 5th to July the 31st will be picked, and all you have to do is retweet an episode during that time. 3 winners picked for 3 lunchboxes. You can choose between a WWE Championship belt, the Balor Club lunchbox, or Booty O's lunchbox. Each lunchbox will have a nano metal WWE action figure, a Dr. X replica mask, and a bottle of Spunk Lube from our sponsor this month. I will draw 3 winners on August the 1st. First place will get to choose which lunchbox that they want and see what extra prize is in the lunchbox. One person will not get anything in the extra in the lunchbox. One person will get a coupon for an exclusive all-in Shooting the Shiznit t-shirt. And one winner, or, I guess you can call him a loser, will get a How Are You Doing t-shirt. That's right. So all you gotta do, brother, is retweet.
Stop right there. Not only do we have a contest for the month of July, but I, Lance Levine, also known as Lance LeSwine, will be hosting all of the episodes of the flagship show, Shooting the Shiznit. That is right. I am kicking BT to the curb for the month of July. So now, on with the show. Did I do that? I did that better than BT, right? I definitely did. And I love my mama, too.
And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids.
man, we're welcome. That's my buddy there, Lance Levine, the swine, Lance Levine. Hey, we're Cool Kids Countdown. Lance, it seems like it's been forever since we did a Cool Kids Countdown. But, it's just been a couple weeks. And we tried to do this one at the end of the month, and we decided not to even change our picks. This is going to be the wrestlers that bore us.
The top 10 boring wrestlers. That's right. Because and by the way, I am coming from the Hormel Pickled Pig's Feet Studios in Chicago. So you forgot to ask where I was today.
Oh man,
so,
I'm sorry about that.
Hormel Pickled Pig's Feet. So anyway, it was always my dream once we started doing this that I wanted to plug an episode and say this is going to be our most boring episode ever. So that being said, we're going to do the top 10 boring wrestlers in 2018.
There you go. And this is some of them are mine, some of them his. It's really just a combination. So I don't agree with some of these. You don't agree with some of them, but it's a fun list. And we're not. I know that we might surprise some people here, but we don't agree on everything.
Yeah, as normal, we assembled the list like we normally do. We each came up with our own 10 and we synthesized them. And this time we only actually agreed on 2, so that by default those become our number 1 and number 2 picks. So numbers 3 through 10 are basically just one-offs on both sides. So we just alternate. So do you want to know the honorable or the dishonorable mentions this time?
Oh yeah, let's go ahead. What was yours?
My dishonorable mentions, it's funny looking at ours together side by side are just under the top 10s. A lot of Japanese guys. So as much as we're all Puro dorks, there's a lot of Japanese guys on our list. So my first one was Kanemaru because to me that guy is just a bottle of whiskey and that's about it as far as the gimmick. Tai Chi when he's by himself, extra boring.
I like Tai Chi. I've said that. Yeah.
By himself, he's extra boring. With the girl, it picks up a couple notches. Matt Sydal, that whole yoga thing just puts me to sleep. That's probably part of the plan. And then to wrap it up, the one that will probably piss off the most of the Puro Bros is Kushida. Kushida in the ring, fantastic, obviously. And character, fucking guy. I'm sorry. So, and then yours were Abyss, Kane, Bad Luck Fale, and Yoshihashi. So you had a couple of Japanese guys in there too.
Yeah, they just totally boring to me. And I still can't believe he was on a pay-per-view this week.
Yeah,
so,
well, sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of.
But, I can't even believe that. Abyss has just been totally, it's the same shit. They need to do something different with him. And, the other two guys, the only time you could ever I don't even want to talk about them. So let's don't even talk about. They bore me to death. So let's get with the top 10. 10. You see what
10,
I did
10,
there?
10. I see what you did there. So I will say on my children that we assemble a list the same way we do it every time, and we just put things in order and we randomize things. Honest to God, number 10 came out this way honestly, and it was Ty Dillinger at number 10.
I don't really agree with this. I'm kind of bored with him now, so I liked the gimmick when it first came out. I even love the 10-10-10 thing because it gets him over. Now it's just one of those things where you're, blah when you hear him. I'm pretty much blah with everything with WWE now, but it's always been, I like something like that. Same thing with No Way Jose. I like it for a certain amount of time. And then it's just same thing with Enzo and Cass. Even though they were fun, to me it's just like I'm done with the 10-10-10.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, to make our points, the even numbers will be me and the odd numbers are Brian. So just so everybody knows. So Ty Dillinger was one of my high picks, so that's why he's in at number 10. Yes, he was over in NXT, and yes, the Sheep chanted the 10 thing. But what the fuck did any of it mean? I never really understood what any of it meant. I think it was some gimmick where he was rating matches and he held up the 10 cards or the number cards or whatever. Decent journeyman. I can't say, he's terrible in the ring or anything, but that 10 shit just bored me from the start. I just didn't get it. I don't understand it. Now, forget about it. Like you said, they've pushed him down the toilet, basically, where the guy, it's meaningless. When he comes out now, you just kind of groan because he's going to be doing a job for Rude or whoever like this week. So, the normal response when somebody gets to be a stale character is, well, you turn him heel. what are you going to do with this guy? I mean, even if you turn him heel, what does the 10-bit do as a heel? I mean, it doesn't do anything necessarily as a face. I don't think it would never do anything as a heel, I don't think. So I think if they do anything with him, other than they've already given him a new haircut so he doesn't look like Ricochet quite as much anymore. But I think they'd have to turn him heel and just drop the 10 shit altogether and hopefully change the character to something that's a little more interesting. So now at number 9, we have your next pick, which is The Big Show.
Yeah, I think the Big Show did one thing where they did the exploding ring. He's done it twice, so I mark it off when he did it the second time. But that's about the only thing I've ever got excited with the Big Show. I mean, recently we've seen some pictures where he's lost a lot of weight, and and he needed to. He's a big guy who like me, but I'm just like the Big Show. I'm the same size and everything. Just never,
just as wealthy too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I never really liked the gimmick. I think I liked him kind of in when he was in WCW, but I just the one punch, all that kind of stuff. He always, and every time the music played, I just wanted to go, oh, I could just hear the groan in my head.
It's the Big Show. So,
yeah.
This one I mildly disagree with you on. I can't completely agree with you or disagree. I just kind of mildly disagree. I was never really bored by Big Show, but he was obviously never really anything special in the ring, but he was portrayed as a spectacle, I remember running into him at a bar, 10, 15 years ago, and the biggest human I've probably ever seen or stood anywhere near. I just remember he obliterated anything that was on the other side of him. I couldn't see it at all. So he never really became the Andre-like attraction that they wanted to turn him into. Didn't they say he was like Andre's son for half an hour? Initially they said he was Andre's son to try to get him over that way.
You're right.
But he never really turned into that. And I think what the problem now, of course, the way everybody looks at him now is that they turned him so many times that it just became a joke, like literally a running joke, like week after week. He was a heel, he was a face. I never really found him boring. I guess irrelevant would probably be a better way of putting it. And one of the other reasons why I can't completely agree with you is because he always seemed like such a likable guy behind the scenes. He always seemed like a good team player, willing to do the jobs, and just a locker room leader, I guess, in a sense. So Big Show at number 9.
Yeah, let me tell you real quick before we go, I've got an El Gigante story.
Ugh.
I know, god awful. Think about this. This guy was he was picked up by the Atlanta Hawks. He was supposed to be, the savior of the team. He was so fucking clumsy that he couldn't play basketball. But if you look at him, he could actually put the ball into the there was a guy that played for Arkansas State University. It was the same thing when I was at college. Well, I met him and JYD in the airport, and I just walked up to both of them, shook their hands, and said, "Guys, I like to watch what y'all do," or something like that. And El Gigante I was just being nice, I didn't want to say, "Give me your autograph," blah blah blah.
By the way, you guys both suck.
Yeah, you both suck, but whatever. So he shook my hand, and it's like you couldn't really even see my hand. I mean. So I get to work the next day, and I told the guys, I was going through the airport. I seen JYD and El Gigante, and they were like, "What?" They was all excited about it, the guys I worked with. And they said, "Well, how big was he?" Because, he's so huge. And I said, I didn't even put him over. I said, he's not really that big.
Well, just the fact that you're mentioning El Gigante on the show, which is mind-boggling in 2018 that name comes up, but it gives me the idea that at some point we have to do a bottom 10 list of the worst 10 wrestlers of all time, because I think he might be in the lead on that category.
I agree.
All right, so at number 8 we go to my next pick, which is Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, It's almost like a lot of things have happened in the last couple of weeks. I see what you say, Bobby Lashley. Man, he sweats. God, he sweats like a hooker in a church, What is up with that? He must take a lot of pre-workout or something.
Large man.
Man, he was sweating like crazy against Roman Reigns. I like Bobby a lot, but, no personality whatsoever. And I told you this yesterday when we were talking. And I said on the post-show for from the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, they interviewed him. if you would have listened to that interview and would let that guy talk on TV, he would be over. Because he was, I mean, he came off as just your normal guy, but really intelligent, smart. He said stuff like, Reigns gave me a good fight. I mean, said everything he should say, but, they don't do that. They give him something stupid to say, or he just comes out there grinning. And I know you hate the headband, but the headband is over with me.
The guy is just freaking boring as hell. And what I don't get is the fact that this guy is like, I don't know, 40-ish or so. The guy is ripped to shreds. He's been around for like 15 years. He's fucking headlined WrestleMania. He's done MMA, for Christ's sake, and he's still boring as hell. I mean, how is a guy with all those credentials still as boring as this guy? So I think from what you're describing, maybe the scripting is poor. And, maybe he just gets nervous under the big lights and in front of the cameras or something, because if he's that interesting behind the scenes on a show that not as many people are watching, then maybe there's something there. But I swear to God, he is the wrestling version of Carlton from Fresh Prince, the fake white guy, basically. And it's funny that he's working in WWE now. Yeah, racist. It's funny. Wait till you get to number 2. It's funny that he's in WWE now, because if Byron Saxton or Jonathan Coachman were actually wrestlers, they would be Lashley, because they're just as equally boring. So, and like you referenced, the headband. That's the most interesting thing about him is the headband, because I can play the headband game and guess how many times will it come off, how many times will he scramble to put it back on during the match. I mean, as a heel in TNA, I don't remember him being that bad, but this smiling preppy character in WWE is just the worst. So, at number 7, we have your next pick, and that would be the modern-day Maharaja. I can't roll it. Jinder Mahal.
I was kind of a Jinder fan, but I guess because of the Curry brothers,
the Spicy Curry Bucks. Yeah,
the Spicy Curry
we
Bucks.
All remember
I love
that.
those guys. Love what they were doing, and just a bump for, the big guys all the time. But Jinder's just got, he was boring the last couple of, months as champion. But right now, if you see his music play or see him on the screen, if it's a pay-per-view or if it's a regular television, you're just pushing a fast-forward button.
Yep. I see this one. I slightly don't agree with you on, and that's funny for me to say that. Don't get me wrong. I hate Jinder. I think he sucks to high heaven. He's one of the worst in the game today. But he's not boring to me in the sense that there's some interesting things about him in the fact of the entire transformation, when he went from being a doughy jobber to being a ripped, chicken eating and diet eating, diet eating guy to, have the ripped body that he has now. The crowning of him from going 1 week from being a jobber on main event to winning the title 2 weeks later on a pay-per-view, and the whole India push, when last year when that was the big thing in WWE was like, well, we got to sell these subscriptions in India, so we're going to put Jinder on top. So there's some interesting elements about the guy in that sense. Like I said, don't like him. I think he is, he's one of the worst. Like talking about Elegante, he's today's Elegante for me. But those facets keep him from being boring to me. So I don't think he's boring. I really don't care about him. I don't give a damn. But the fact that he had some interesting shit go on with him in his career last year keep him from being boring. Now we get to number 6.
Hold on. Just let me. I want to recommend the Colt Cabana interview with him. This was done, if you can find the podcast, probably on YouTube, whatever. Excellent interview. This was before he, went back to the WWE and everything, and talks about going, making a trip to Japan and how the Japanese guys and women wanted to grab his junk just to see how big it was. It's hilarious. And the guy comes
Jinder?
up.
We're talking about Jinder?
Yes.
Really? Gross.
Yeah. It was really funny because he was just talking about that the Japanese people, when it comes to dark-skinned guys, they have to, it's like they want to grab you in a bar to see how big. It's really interesting interview. And he comes off as somebody I wouldn't even have no interest in, but it was really a good interview. So.
Interesting. I'll have to look up that fetish. So at number 6, we have the pure definition of boring. We have the the apex narcoleptor, Randy Orton.
I just don't get it, guys. I love Randy Orton. I have since probably day one.
Boo.
Huge fan. Will always like the stuff he does, and I'm going to tell you, if you talk to anyone on that roster, the guy that they want to work is Randy because he's safe. He doesn't hurt them. You talk to
except
anyone,
for the spicy curry bucks, he only hurts them.
Yeah, he kills them. But I've always been a big fan, and I don't know, it's just one of those things where you pick somebody, and no matter how much, the internet wrestling fans or anybody says, I hate this guy, he's born. I just like him, always will. There's nothing that, I don't think there's anything you guys can say to make me not like Randy Orton.
So obviously, folks, this is my next pick, Randy Orton, because obviously BT totally disagrees with it. Technically very good in the ring, obviously, but he's just never been an exciting guy to watch in any capacity. One of the things that gets me about him is the character never changes, whether he's a heel or a face. He's always he hears the voices and he's going to the places. I'm like, as a heel, as a face, he heard the voices, he's going to the place. I'm like, just change something up once in a while. The guy's been doing the same exact shtick for like 12, 13 years now. So I know Meltzer praises him. He does all the little things. And, he probably does do all the little things. But the problem is he just sleepwalks through everything that he does, whether it's the matches themselves, the promos, the storylines. It seems like he could give a shit. He just seems like the classic, I'm just here to collect my paycheck kind of guy. And there's other guys that are also technically excellent in the ring that aren't nearly as boring as Randy Orton. So Randy Orton, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, the apex narcoleptor, because he is the definition of boring.
All right, guys, let's get a commercial in here. We'll be right back.
Shootin' the Shiznit is exclusively sponsored this month by SpunkLube.com. Spunk Lube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. Spunk Lube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. The newest addition to the Spunk Lube family is Spunk Lube Pink. The pink formula is colorful and fun to use. It's a special hybrid formula that's non-sticky and non-staining. All of their products are shipped in discreet packaging from D Enterprises. Please go to spunklube.com and order a unique, fun-to-use personal lubricant.
All right, we're back. And Lance, I got your pink lube. I got it shipped out to you. I know that's what you've been requesting.
No, I requested the hybrid. I switched my order. I'm sorry. I should have told you. But I'll give the pink to the girl upstairs. I'll give it to her.
Hey, we always talk about things right here, and then before we get into the top 5, number 1, the weigh-in. I'm talking this when this airs, it'll be day 60. I'm right at where I should be. I'm like, I needed to lose 1 more pound, but I'm right where I need to be. I'm as of tomorrow. It will be. I usually use, and this shows you what's going on with my insulin and my body and all that. I usually use about 5 bottles of insulin at this time a month. And I've used less than a bottle and a half. So it's just awesome. I mean, it really is the way I'm eating. And I feel a hell of a lot better. And I started here doing exercise so that, this is as funny as it sounds. I just, when I went to Walmart, I got out of breath and knew I was going to be at that con for 3 days. So it's still going real good. We still got about less than 20 pounds to go, but I think I can get it. And also, Ed we mentioned something in the last episode. Ed Bogus, or what do you call him, Ed? What?
Bogus, yeah, Ed Bogus.
You called him Edzo or something. I don't know what.
Yeah, Eddie, Edzo, whatever.
All right, we said something about dark coffee. We did an inside joke. We did an inside joke, and he wanted to know, did you like dark coffee? So I like dark coffee. Lance don't, but I got to tell a story. So Lance has this bet, right, Lance? Now, what is the bet? What is the bet?
The bet was, are we going to name who it's with?
This is nothing against who it's with.
Yeah,
I think it's totally hilarious what he did to Lance.
Yeah, okay, so in a nutshell, the bet was Jeff Zinger and I. Jeff Zinger is a fan of the Blue Jays, the Toronto Blue Jays, and of course I'm a Dodger fan. And one year we had made the bet of which team was going to just simply have the most wins. And I won the bet, and the bet was the winner would get the coffee of the choice. The loser would have to buy the coffee of choice of the winner. Dodgers had the most wins that season, so I made the request because Zinger lives in Canada. I made the request for Tim Hortons coffee, which I love. I needed it to be the regular roast and ground because I don't have a coffee grinder.
Right.
So what does he send me, BT?
Does he say it's not ground? Is it ground?
No, it's the coffee beans. He sends me
coffee beans.
dark roast and coffee beans. And I'm like, what was this? You didn't even pay off the bet. I'm sorry, you did not pay off the bet officially.
So you tell the truth. You bugged this guy until he decided just to block you on Facebook, which was hilarious. And then he fucked you over on the bet. So I thought it was hilarious.
I know,
so.
Exactly. So,
All
then for the record, I have to put a disclaimer in there. He won the bet one time. And the bet was he wanted all kinds of junk food, which, of course, I'm going to be able to provide. He wanted Chicago-based junk food and candy. And I bought him like $100 worth of Chicago candy and shit from here. So he got exactly what he was wanting. So, and then the following year is when I got the fucking dark roast coffee. But anyway, let's get back to the list because I'm fucking hearing voices and I'm going to places. So number 5, we have your next pick, which I couldn't agree more on, is Jack Gallagher.
I just don't know when I see this guy wrestle or in the WWE, I want to know what the fuck were they thinking? He must have got over with, Triple H or somebody, but he's just as bored as hell. I mean, that at first you look at him, you give him a chance, and I've seen him have maybe 4 or 5 just really fucking good matches, but then he just looks so weird, and he's just so boring to me. I usually just fast forward every match. Every once in a while, if it's somebody I really like him against, I'll watch it. But there's no way you're going to see me going out of my way to watch Jack Gallagher.
Jack Gallagher, and we have to thank Burbs from Suplex City Limits for correcting us all on the pronunciation, because there is no such fucking thing as Jack Gallagher. But anyway, so we're going along with Jack Gallagher the same way Burbs recommended. So very good call on your part. This guy is bland as can be. When he came in as a face, oh my God, it was the most boring thing in the world. He did that fucking Mary Poppins bullshit with the umbrella, like jumping off the top turnbuckle.
You're not going to believe this,
open.
But I actually
liked that spot.
That was the only fucking thing I've liked about him.
So he did that, and the other thing that would drive me crazy with him was when and I don't know if he does it anymore because he's a heel now, but he would do that goofy spot where he would stand on his head on the turnbuckle and then stick his foot out to keep the heel from running and charging at him in the corner. I'm like, that is the dumbest looking thing. He'd put one foot down and then one foot up and then the other foot down. I'm like, oh my God, this is like fucking narcolepsy again here with putting me to sleep. So he's slightly better as a heel, not much, but he's just so bland. He's decent in the ring, like you said, but you just got to get past that blandness of this guy. I don't know if even any kind of makeover will save this guy. They saw him in PWG. I know that was the last place I'd seen his name. So he participated in probably some really great matches in PWG. But when he got to WWE, man, it was just Death City for this guy.
That's a totally different crowd, too. And they like the hold-for-hold shit.
Of course,
I just can't get into that. I never have. There's only like 1 match or 2 matches in the whole world time that I remember. I remember Billy Robinson against Tony Charles. I don't know if you know that name. And then I do remember Dundee. I think Dundee wrestled Tony Charles and Billy Robinson. Those matches are just hold for hold for hold. And they were fun because in Memphis we didn't do that. So it was something different. Yeah, but it's just boring as hell to me. All right, number 4. We're going to totally disagree on this.
Number 4, yeah, we totally disagree on this one. This is my top pick, and I know you totally disagree. And it is, of course, the Switchblade, Jay White.
Well, I kind of agreed with you until, like I said, we made this list last month and tried to get it. But the last 3 matches I've seen Jay White. Let me start, before I say that, say that as a young boy, we all liked Jay White. We thought he was awesome. We thought he was going to be really, really good. He worked his ass off. He went to ROH, had a fucking just awesome match with Ospreay on the pay-per-view. Just didn't really have a lot of personality. He still looked like the young boy and didn't really have personality. They gave him this gimmick. And I didn't go with it. Didn't go with it at all. It just didn't fit him. It's one of those, and this sounds like the old timer in me, but you have to get a gimmick that matches that person in the sense that a little bit of him in it for it to be believable. And I never thought there was since the San Francisco show. I've been a huge Jay White fan again. The last 3 matches I've seen of him, I think he's just a fucking heel. That's what I like about him. The booing, I love to listen to them boo him, which we don't get anymore. And I think that's the part I want. Now, technically, he's a damn good wrestler. I mean, he had the best. Everyone said, Meltzer said in the Meltzer ratings, not my favorite match on the show, but they gave it the best match on that show. So technically, and as a worker, he's good. I think this little run at G1 is going to actually get that character over. I hope so for him because he, or he may have to have a total makeover. So.
Yeah, I mean, you made a really good point, which we hadn't talked about, that you raised the thought of the character has to match the personality a little bit. And if you want to have a character called the Switchblade, I think it would need to be somebody like a Kenny Omega. When Kenny Omega was like a hardcore heel, even when he was doing some of the comedy shit, but when he was a heel, that's the kind of guy with that kind of energy that I think has to be cast as the Switchblade. If
or
that's what you want to call the
Sammy
character.
Callahan.
Exactly.
Sammy Callahan.
That connection, it's just that character is not connecting. I don't know if it ever will. I mean, again, like I said earlier with Kushida, Jay White is good in the ring, and with the right opponent, he can have great matches. That's not the point. What he made me think of, when we were like putting our notes together here, was when they took a boring ass, bland Mark Callis and they turned him into the Undertaker, and it worked. It took. I don't know if something, and I'm not comparing Jay White to The Undertaker, don't get me wrong, but the point is, like, they took a guy who they played to his strengths when they turned Mark Callis into The Undertaker. So that's why I don't think the Switchblade character fits for him. They could do something else where he's a brooding, quiet guy or something, and maybe that would stick better. For whatever reason, this is just not sticking. I don't think it will. It'll be interesting to see if it ever, if they stay the course with it and they shove him down our throats. Up until the G1, I wasn't sure, is he a heel? Is he a face? I mean, now it's pretty clear he's a heel after what we've seen the last couple days. I still don't know if the guy can do a promo. He tried doing one at the end of the last show, and it was like, it's okay, whatever. It just, there's a difference between a promo that connects and then just swearing for the sake of swearing too. And you're talking about they're booing him and they hate him. They're booing him the same way they're booing Roman Reigns.
I don't think so.
They don't like him. I don't think they like him, and so that's why they're booing him. I don't think they're booing him because he's a heel and he's drawing heel heat. I think they're booing him because they don't like him. I disagree
with you on that because I've seen someone else say that too. I don't think it is. I think they're booing him. Especially, I know the San Francisco crowd was kind of a WWE crowd there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see it. I don't think that's right. I may change my mind down the line, but I think it's because they think he's just a total fucking prick because he grabs the chair. See, that's why if you watch the things he does as heels, he grabs a chair and they start fucking booing him. So that's heel heat, and you don't see that a lot anymore, especially in a place like New Japan. So.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully, I hope you're right, and I hope that this G1 does something for him and gets him over more so. So, at number 3, we have your top pick, and of course, I disagree here. Your top pick is ZSJ, Zack Sabre Jr.
Zack Boring Jr. So, I don't get it. I told myself, and I put this up on Twitter, I believe, and in the Cool Kids group, that I was going to try to watch more of his matches, especially during G1, because there's a lot of guys I like. Watched his first round match. I thought it was really good. I've only seen him, and it's weird because the matches I've seen him in that I liked was with Chris Hero, and it was in Evolve when they were both there. I just don't see what everyone else sees in him, and he just bores the fuck out of it. It's like I see one match where he's twisted someone's arm, blah, 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 and then it's like, okay, you just did that in the last match. And now he's doing, what's his finisher now, Lance? What is
I don't even know.
Is it the Zack driver or something like that?
Yeah.
I just hate that. All right, and like I've always said, he looks like that little kid that lives next door to me. And I mean, I know I couldn't whip his ass. Don't get me wrong. I know I couldn't. And he's probably bigger than I think he is because I've seen, But in my mind, he just he's not the guy that could beat anybody. That's just the way I feel.
Mm-hmm. He's not intimidating looking enough for you.
Not
Probably.
at all. Not at all.
I will say the only thing I agree with you on is the fact that he looks like a beach volleyball player to me. But the guy can go. I think the guy can go. I really enjoy watching his style. I dig the submission stuff with him as opposed to I know don't get me wrong. He's not exactly a vibrant, Juice Robinson-esque character as far as getting himself over and promos and so on. But the submission stuff that he does, I find it to be really interesting because it's one of the only ones that I actually feel compelled to watch. Unlike Jack Gallagher doing that shit, and I could care less. There's something about Zack Sabre doing it that I enjoy watching. At first I questioned putting him in Suzuki-gun, but now I really think that it worked best for him because they're constantly pairing him with Suzuki in tag matches. And, I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, it's probably doing him some good to be running with that group and getting the rub off of that group. And then I realized, most of the rest of that group is boring too. It's just the fact that Suzuki himself is so fascinating and so exciting and so compelling to watch that every time I see Sabre, I keep saying Sabre. Every time I see Sabre, he's with Suzuki or they're tagging together, and it makes it even that much more fun to watch Zack Sabre Jr. So I'm a big fan of the guy. Couldn't disagree with you more. I'm generally entertained by most of his matches, and I am looking forward to most of his stuff coming up in G1.
I plan to watch it. I really will. But maybe by the end of G1, I'll say, okay, I see. I mean, Meltzer's been high on this kid. I remember 3 or 4 years ago, he's like, this guy's the next big thing kind of thing. And so I just don't get it. So the next two is two that me and you actually agreed on.
Yeah, so these are the only two that we agreed upon on our list. So
right,
by default, they got to number 1 and number 2. So at number 2, we have, and again, this pains me to put him at number 2, but Hiroki Goto is number 2.
Just, you know what? Here's the weird thing about him, and if I can do some post-editing, I'm going to put his song in here, his theme a little bit. I love his fucking theme, and you're going to love this. It's like every time that his music comes on, it's like I'm popping for it, and then all of a sudden I see him and go, oh, yeah, that's him. Fuck, There's nothing, he's a solid worker. I mean, I agree. But he's, if you look at the tiers and in New Japan, he's tier 2 to me, and just the excitement. And there's a guy in our group, Chris Hensley, who's one of the Puro dorks. He loves this guy, but does absolutely nothing for me.
Mm-hmm. When you said tears, I thought you were going to refer to the Puro dorks are going to be crying tears because we're putting Goto at number 2 on our list. So this is one of our 2 agreements. Again, I agree with you. I really enjoy Goto in the ring. I enjoy watching his style. He's hard-hitting. He's just really fun to watch, but boring as hell. He reminds me of Toast, just Toast. And, if I can put it in non-racist terms.
He's like Toast.
A bowl of white rice. That is what he reminds me of, is a bowl of rice. He's just kind of, I knew that was coming. He reminds me of, the Arn Anderson in the Four Horsemen. You had all the other boisterous characters, and then you've got this guy who was just the ring technician, who was just all he did was good in the ring. Arn was a better microphone for sure, but Goto, great in the ring, but just so boring outside the ring. There's no character. And why does he always have a belt? I don't understand why he always seems to have a title, no matter what. He's always got one of the secondary or third level titles. So he never has the main title, but he always has a title. So he must have pictures of somebody. So as a character, there's just never been anything there for me. And I just don't, it's similar to Lashley in the sense that this guy is amazing in the ring, but he's such a snooze outside the ring. And not to say that Lashley's amazing in the ring, he's average, but Goto, amazing in the ring, but yet just so boring, likable guy, but just so boring outside the ring. So at number 1,
hold on just a minute.
We don't get hype, we stay hype.
I love that song.
You know it, bro.
Ooh.
All right. So you got to hear that. Now tell them who number one is.
Number one, we couldn't get off of this list without mentioning the future of the business, Mr. Mojo Rawley, number one most boring wrestler of 2018.
Man, Lance, we need to get hyped. That's what we need to do. So
I am not hyped at all.
When he was at NXT, I heard there's a guy that's actually in the group is friends with him, and everyone.
I'm sorry.
Everyone had good things to say. No, everyone has great things to say about this guy, and the ethics and what he would actually do to set up the ring and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But man, he is just annoying. He's one of those guys. He reminds me of the Enzo. I believe if you was around him, you'd want to punch him before it was over with. And I liked it at first, but it's just one of those things that, and then, we had, a few people in our group just so high on him, and it just made it worse because he was not that good. And apparently, the guys, we did hear that Triple H and some of the other guys were real high on him too. But that don't always mean a superstar. That don't always mean somebody exciting if Triple H likes him. So just thank you, Mojo. Thank you. You're number one. Congratulations.
The shits in the ring. The shits with the stay hype crap. The shits since he's turned heel on Zack Ryder. The promos are just boring. I think what you said about how annoying he was, I think it was annoying as the hype character. Yeah, before they turned him heel, that was definitely annoying. And that was just so like Enzo-ish as far as that goes. Since he's been a heel now, he's just kind of not even there. They took the hype. That was the one thing he had, was the stupid hype thing, which maybe would be selling some merch and maybe the kids would like. But now it's just, he's just, treading water. He's not doing anything. The promos are horrible. The character now is nothing. The friendship with Gronk makes him even more of a bro, and it makes it even more offensive that, that this guy is even on the main roster.
Lance, I've always thought this. I never thought this until I seen Gronk, around him, but I think Gronk's a big goober just like him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. So totally, yeah. They're just the college running buddies that are just all about getting laid and, getting on ESPN. So, although Gronk is amazing at what he does, let's face it, one of the greatest tight ends in the history of the game. But anyway, so Mojo Rawley, just jobber for life as far as I'm concerned. The guy is so boring and so irrelevant. I can't wait until we can't even make the joke anymore that they'll let him go and he'll go to TNA, because TNA is getting so much better that TNA probably wouldn't want to touch the guy either. So let him go to the Indies, go make your mark in New Japan, Mojo Rawley. Ha ha. Let's see Mojo in the G1 next year.
Oh, yeah, I can't wait. Hey, guys, same bad time, same bad channel. Thanks for joining us on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. And, Lance, do you love your mama?
No, I love my ferret. I've traded in my llama.
Good God. You just stopped me there. I'm trying to do my catchphrase, and you love your ferret. Well, I love my mama, and be there!
Be there!
Hope y'all enjoyed that episode, and as always, we're looking for contestants on Who Wants to Be the Best Shiznitter Ever. We also have t-shirts at wehavemerch.com. That's wehavemerch.com. $12.99, starting at $12.99, sizes all the way up to 6XL. Shooting the Shiznit exclusively sponsored this month by spunklube.com. That's spunklube.com. Spunk Lube is an award-winning personal lubricant that's fun. Spunk Lube is available in 4 varieties: hybrid, pure silicone, natural, and pink. You can reach me at Comic Book Mark BT on Twitter, BT Shooting the Shiznit on Instagram. We're also on Facebook. You can talk to us, me and Lance and everyone at Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. We also have a Shooting the Shiznit Facebook group. All the archives are at www.stspod.club. You can listen to this podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Podcast Addict, Spreaker, and other fine podcast players. I want to give a big shout out to my podcast bros, Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, Who's Right Podcasts, and P3 Radio. Also a big shout out to WrestlingNewsCenter.com, LocalsToLegends.com with Gene Jackson, who also has his podcast, and my old buddy Bob McGee at ProWrestlingsBetweenTheSheets.com. If you like this episode and would like to donate to the show, then send $5 to PayPal at Brian_Trammell, Trammell, at yahoo.com. Join us next week.
You can't fight the friction.